What's up, what's up, what's up? We're going to talk about fertility today, and I'm excited about that. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey.
I love the headband.
Thank you. I'm trying more different styles since I've always loved styling my hair different. So, hi.
Hey! How are you, girls?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long day with these 3 children, but I'm good. I am here. I've survived another day of parenthood so far.
I get it.
Wait, who's your name again?
That's Jen. Go.
Hi.
Zan does not wear lenses.
She does wear lenses sometimes.
Hi.
Alrighty, so I'm really excited for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I always get a lot of questions about this, and I feel like I know from whatever of my experience, but I feel like there's a whole world when it comes to like fertility as a whole, and there's people that are more specialized in these fields because that's what they're focused on. So since I know that's what your focus is, I was like, this would be awesome to bring you on here. Hold on, huh? No, not right now, Mama. She changed her clothes like 10 times today. I'm just like, girl, I want to let you express yourself, but I'm getting a little tired of taking your shirt on and off. Like,
Yes.
think what you got on for the rest of the day. Anyways, so yeah, I wanted somebody that can just shed more light on this and awareness on this and how we can help each other because, when we hear the term it takes a village, like we literally mean that. Like even if it's somebody that you don't know personally, we're all 3 to 6 degrees of separation of some type of mother. We all came from a mother, right? Like so we have to, in order to break these chains and these kind of generational traumas that we're living with, we have to start from here so that we can now literally change the future because it's a now. There's no other time. So if you can just please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are, and then yeah, just tell us a little bit about what you work on and you
Absolutely.
specialize in.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sierra Bazell. I am known as the Ultimate Fertility Consultant on Instagram and Facebook, pretty much everywhere. If you look it up, you'll find me. But my story is a little bit different. I became a mom fairly easily the first time, got pregnant, no problems, had a C-section with my oldest daughter, and then went through the battle of secondary infertility. And in healing myself, and I went through a lot. I had a fibroid, an ovarian cyst, a breast cyst, like anything you can think of. I had it at that time. My body pretty much fell apart after giving birth via C-section. And it was a long journey of many years of trying to figure out how to improve my own health. And then in doing that, I became a health coach. I became a doula, studied fertility, became a fertility doula, and just started helping other people. And that's where I've been. And I also started a foundation to assist people that are dealing with fertility issues and those who want to start their families through reproductive assistance or adoption. And so that's kind of my lane, and that's where I've been for a few years now. I've been a doula or in the birth work space for about 5 years total. So that's where I am.
Wow. So was it the experience with the birth with the C-section that catapulted you into that, or like prior to that, where was your mindset at as far as in prior to becoming a mother that you feel where you were not in the awareness that you are now?
Absolutely. Before I became a mother, so I had my oldest daughter when I was 24. I wasn't even trying to get pregnant. I wasn't thinking about being a mom. It just happened. So, it wasn't on my radar. I didn't think about whether or not other people were having fertility issues, or even if, they needed support through
Right.
the experience. I had a midwife, so I thought, I had covered all my bases. I did my research, and I wanted this beautiful, amazing natural birth. And I thought that I did all the things to get it, and it just didn't work out that way. So when I had my traumatic birthing experience, it kind of like turned the light on for me, because I was thinking, well, how many other people are going through this, and how many other people are dealing with this, and especially people of color, because that's not something that we talk about, right? It's like you see all of these people talking about fertility issues, or talking about their birthing experiences and having trauma, but they don't look like us. So when I was on my journey of trying to heal myself and work through all of these issues that I was having because of secondary infertility, I was just like, where are the people that look like me? And so I wanted to become that person, so that when other people were going through it, they could say, oh, well, if she could do it, then, I can do it too. Or if she can heal from it, and she's not dealing with all of these emotional issues and still carrying the baggage of dealing with infertility, then I can do
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I had a little bit of a question. What is secondary infertility?
Yeah, so secondary infertility is when you get pregnant before. It could be with 1, 2, 3, however many children, and then you have issues having a second, third, or what.
Mm.
So you had a baby before, and now it becomes difficult to conceive again.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes we get lost in all these terms. And
Mm-hmm.
since fertility is not something that a lot of people talk about, there are terms that go out there that we don't know what they mean. And then they sound like they can sound super scary or abnormal to some people. So that I was interested in the language, because I'm not knowledgeable. I know the reasons for infertility, but since I've never had to experience it myself, this is something that I'm experiencing through the brave women that have the voice and that are speaking about it. So this is amazing, and I thank you for, like I
Yeah.
said, expressing that and having that like portal for these women that wasn't available before to find solutions. It's like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We can find solutions to these things.
Right.
It's
And
amazing.
everybody, it doesn't always end in a baby, because I decided not to have a second child. Like, I never gave birth again. We ended up adopting. I was going to go through the IVF cycle. I started it, and it just didn't feel right for me. And so I walked away, and I was like, you know what? I don't think this is something that I want to do, but I support other people, because, if you want to have a baby, great. But for me, I was just like, no, it just doesn't sit well with me, especially since my first experience was already traumatic. I wasn't trying to do it again. So
Yeah.
I feel that.
I definitely get it. Do you feel that like um our like whether it be childhood trauma, generational trauma play a part in our health when it comes to also our reproductive system?
absolutely. This is something that I've been exploring a lot, because childhood trauma leads to all sorts of issues. We're thinking about anxiety, depression, you name it. It can be traced back to you having some type of issue in your childhood. So when people are dealing with these traumatic experiences, it can lead to inflammation in the body. Your
Right.
body remembers what happens, and so it starts to respond in different ways. A lot of times people have dealt with abuse, whether it is some type of physical abuse, mental abuse, or in a lot of cases it can even be, sexual abuse. And trigger warning for those people who might be watching and it's causing some type of feelings for you. But definitely if there is some type of trauma, it can lead to an issue with fertility. So one of the things that I like to do is to ask when I'm doing an initial consultation, I take people through an entire process where I'm asking questions. What happened in your childhood? Did you have any recent traumas? Because it doesn't just have to be something that happened, you know, in your childhood. It can be that you lost a parent, or that you lost a spouse before, or, you know, a friend, whatever. If you're having some type of emotional issue, it can manifest itself as a problem within the body.
That's, yeah. It's crazy because I feel like for me and my experience just with birth and there was a moment I was dealing with PCOS, so I didn't think I would be able to have children. You know, I was able to heal myself through that. It wasn't as aggressive as most women have it, but it was definitely gonna get there. Like I was at that tipping point pretty much. But I took control of it, and what I realized in that process of everything is that we focus so much on the external part of our body, and we have to understand that inside there is a machine happening, and every cell works together and does a specific job and a function. It's like a whole computer and a machine, and it works a specific way. And if you put on this suit, which is the body, on top of it, it's just a piece of flesh, but it's not who you are. So we're not focused on the internal, like literally internal body, and respecting the way that works in its mastermind. It's incredible how the body works, and we neglect it, and we're not even knowledgeable about it. So it's like we have to really get to know who we really are.
Absolutely. Most people don't even remember a lot of the things that they've gone through, because sometimes we block things out because we deal with them. And then when you're trying to conceive, or even during birth, because I've seen it when I'm dealing with my birth clients too, we'll get to a certain point within the labor and it might just stall. And I have to go to them and be like, listen, look at me. Whatever it is that you're dealing with right now, we need to let it out. So I want you to cry.
Yeah.
And they will boo-hoo, you know, snot and doing all the things. But eventually it will pick right back up and we're able to get right back into a rhythm. So I think that we have to understand that even though we try to block these things out, they don't go away. Your body might just remember what happens, and it can manifest itself as you having an issue, because that's just how it works. It's not just going to disappear.
For sure, for sure. I think there's this time where this energy of like healing that everybody's searching for, you know, and there's this like shift happening that I feel personally, like where everybody is trying to go within. They just don't know how to get there, you know, because it's like you tell somebody, okay, go within, but you're like, yeah, I don't get it, you know. But it's like it means study your body from the science to how this actually all works, number one, you know, and even with creation and what happens to your body when you create, you know, because something shifts in the body, something shifts psychologically. So it's not to say that these things are not going to happen. It's that we're just riding it unaware and like lost in chaos. So we don't know how to ride that wave, because if this is an experience that is given to us naturally by God, right? Then I don't feel that he would provide us with something with that much pain and that much torture or that much suffering within it. I fail to believe that. And I feel like we have our people kind of are addicted to suffering and pain. So they normalize it. Like, oh yeah, we're supposed to go. No, we're not supposed to go through half of these things that y'all have normalized in fertility, in birth, and even having a baby, in so many things. Like, no, that's not. There was a something went off in the, like there was a glitch.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I see so many people that will come to me. They're in my inbox all the time, right? They're like, hey, I have this fibroid, sis. I've been bleeding for like 5 years. And I'm like, wait, 5 years? And now all of a sudden you want me to work a miracle because you have just been like, oh, but this is how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, no, who told you that you were supposed to be dealing with this? And they're like, well, the doctor said it was normal. Normal
Yes.
like this, or the doctor said that the cramping was normal. The doctor said that this was normal. My mama told me that it was supposed.
She went through that too. Everybody go through that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they really do think that they're supposed to be dealing with this issue. It's almost like, you know, I don't know if y'all read the Bible, but if you read the New Testament where they're talking about the woman with the issue of blood, they've been walking around bleeding and struggling and dealing with this thing for so long. And they're just like, oh, it's now a part of me. But they don't know how to lay it down, don't know how to let it go. So they just continue doing what they're doing. And then when somebody like me comes along that's like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. I don't have to deal with this. They're like, but where do I start? And so, you know, we go through this whole process and I'm like, well, first you have to start with how you're thinking. We have to start with what you're eating. What are you putting into your mind? What kind of thoughts are you putting in? What are you saying? All of these things. And it's difficult for people because that's like a complete shift. We're used to just dealing with things. We're not used to the work that it takes in order to actually heal or change.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I believe change is one of the most uncomfortable things for people. And it's because it's like you're saying, we're normalizing the wrong things. We're normalizing the things that make us suffer, the things that make us work harder. And then we're saying, oh, life isn't supposed to be like this. And so we know it deep down, we know it. So when we hear somebody like you saying, actually, this is the normal way to deal with this. This is the normal way. And it's like you're saying, now you're aware and you're able to ride that wave. And it's less painful. It's less struggle. It's less hard work. And everything just starts aligning. And then we start going into that flow of attracting. And I think that's where we get like lost in the sauce. Like we forget that it all starts with change. And just if we're comfortable, we're not doing it right, because it's part of the process. It's the only way. And understanding that that's what life is. It's always going to be that struggle so you can shoot up. But the trick is trying to stay high instead of coming all the way down. So I think it's amazing that you show them the new normal. And it's the old normal. It's like, let's go back to the roots. Back to the roots. Really everything, our culture, our beings, what we need, like you're saying, with educating ourselves with how the body works. And I think eventually all those things will make this work the way that it should. And now you're back into the cycle of nature and maybe possibly getting fertile again.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Your body is designed to maintain homeostasis. It's supposed to be balanced. It's not supposed to be out of whack. And then if something does happen, then something else has to overcompensate. And so you're walking around with these symptoms, which is not actually the root of the issue. It's just now manifesting because something else is off. And I have to show you that you have a fibroid because your hormones are imbalanced, and because you're not sleeping, and because your adrenals are shot. So it's just what you're seeing is a manifestation of the actual root, but it's not the thing that you're dealing with. The fibroid is not the issue. It's just a symptom.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And, you know, when you look at when the kind of shift happened where the women became more into the workforce, I feel like from that moment on, everything started changing in our reproductive system and how we were birthing and postpartum and all these things that kind of just started escalating from that point on. So it makes you wonder, you know, what that did to a group of, it was kind of like two generations. You have like I know I'm 40, so my parents and then their parents, they were both kind of like you started in the 30s, I guess, 1930s, I want to say. Those were all started into that workforce era. And we kind of, I feel like we're at a point now where we're realizing that we got. Like, oh, wait a minute. That shit was a whole setup. Like, that is what destroyed us. We got caught up in the money. We got caught up in the exterior of life and the luxuries of that we forgot the nature of who we are and what we come from. And the essence of what we come from, that we don't need that much from the exterior world. You know, we've there's so much, you know, technology is one thing, but at some point we have to look at it and you're like, wait a minute, how much are we disconnecting from ourselves, from nature? And then we're wondering why our bodies are like, just like calling out, screaming for help, screaming for help. Like, yo, we are not aligned and we are all one.
Yes.
It's a cycle here from the bottom to the top and the bottom to the top. And we are completely disconnected on so many levels.
We're removing ourselves from the cycle. And we're not realizing that that's what we're doing, you know? It's
right. Yeah. We're unplugging from the matrix.
Yeah.
We're not there anymore. And I think it happens on both sides because we're seeing an increase in male infertility now too. So when we start operating outside of what we're supposed to do and you're presenting yourself with more masculine energy, that means that you're more stressed and that you're taking on things that you weren't designed to handle because your body wasn't created to work that way. So then you're stressed out and you're saying, I can't get pregnant. And your body is like, I'm stressed out. Do you want me to stay alive or do you want a baby? And so your body is continually having to decide, like, be alive or do we want to have this baby? And that's something that I tell people all the time. Listen, you're going to have to cut back on some of these things that you're doing. You're going to have to set boundaries. You have to say no, because in this space, your body is literally telling you, you know, essentially your primal brain, I'm running from a bear. If I stop running to get pregnant, then we're going to die. We're not going to do that. So if you want this baby, then maybe you have to cut back on some of those hours that you're working, or tell these people you can't run an organization or whatever it is, but you have to really start going within and taking time for yourself and setting boundaries, because otherwise you're never going to have a baby. Your body is just not going to do it.
It's not going to do it. It's in like a fight or flight mode. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, just fighting every single time, you know? So I think that we have to really, you know, we there's so many layers to this. So you have like your diet, you know, there's also your mental health, you know, your physical health. There's so many layers to it.
Trauma.
And then when we go into the mental health, is kind of the one that we ignore the most, you know, because it's like, you can eat all the stuff you want, but if your body and if your mind is not in its in a balanced form, then it's going to kick off the other stuff that's trying to get done. It's like, it's a total body work. Like, you want to do a total body workout, like, it's a total body work, and it really means that you have to shut everything off and take time for yourself, because people don't even know what it is to be by themselves, because they're always so caught up in their thoughts. Like, they're literally just like in a prison in there of their thoughts, of everything that can go wrong, it's going wrong or whatever. And we invest so much energy into that feeling that we continue, like you said, manifest that, and it just keeps growing and growing in different forms. And it's like, it is that deep, and you have to take it that deep. It's not just a one-stop shop where I'm going to do this and then all of a sudden, yeah, you can maybe get that. You can maybe get lucky in a lot of different things. But if we want to shift the generation to come, then we got to shift the DNA that's inside and what we have going on here. Because when we keep reproducing, we're transferring these energies are being transferred from womb to womb to womb to womb to womb. So even if you can't be the one to save the world, you're going to be part of that transition that's going to happen. And that's part where we're at now. We're starting that transition, and it's just sad that a lot of women are at a really, we've gotten so far with it, with it's like, it's gotten so bad. So it's like, we're only going to be able to say, but so many. And that's just real talk, because it has gotten that bad. And that right there is our wake-up call to be like, we can't let this continue getting this bad. This has to stop now, or literally we're destroying our entire reproductive system where we're going to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not something that most people realize. It's just they're on autopilot. They think, okay, well, I will decide to have a baby and it's just going to happen naturally. And then it doesn't happen. And it's been 6 months and they're freaking out. It's been a year and they're freaking out and they're like, what do I do? And every month they're trying to conceive and they're stressed out about it. And I see them in groups. I see them everywhere. They're like, oh, it's almost time for my cycle. I'm stressed out. I'm worried about whether or not I conceive. And even that alone, getting that cycle is like the most challenging thing that I've ever had to deal with before in my life. It took me through depression. I've never felt so low before. Just being stuck in a cycle. Like you can't be out anything. If somebody else pops up pregnant, you're depressed about it. If you get your cycle and you're trying to do something, like I've been on vacation and got my cycle and the whole vacation is ruined for me because I'm not pregnant. And, you know, you have to get to a point where it's like, this doesn't define me and I can't stay stuck here because being space is not going to help anything. It's only going to make things worse. And I think, you know, when you want something really bad and you start to focus on it, what you focus on expands. If you're continually thinking, I can't get pregnant, I can't get pregnant, I can't get pregnant, you're not
going to get pregnant.
How are you going to do it? Your body's like, oh, okay, well, cool. She said you can't do it, so this is what we're not. And so I have to continuously get people to get out of their heads and get out of their thoughts, because those thoughts become your reality. What you're saying to yourself becomes your reality. And if you keep looking at this stick going, I'm not pregnant again, then it's just going to be where you stay. No matter what you do, you can do IVF, you can do whatever it is, it's not going to work because you believe that you just cannot conceive. And if you say it and you believe it with your whole heart, then that's what's going to happen. And then when people are actually able to relax, and I know we hate that in the infertility community when somebody says, oh, just relax and you'll get pregnant. But there is some truth to it when you're able to step away from that situation and say, I'm not going to think about it right now. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to stress myself out about this. Then a lot of people do actually conceive. They are able to go on and have healthy pregnancies because they're not stuck in that mindset anymore. So we have to understand the power that we have as creative beings to think and say things and have it manifest.
Absolutely. Because when you you said there's no more resistance, right? Yeah, my husband said because there's no more resistance, and it's true. We think that
you're in flow state again.
Yeah, you're in flow state again. When, you know, we think that by continuously thinking about it, that we're gonna change how whatever the outcome of whatever it goes, you know. And when we do that, then we're confusing our body, because then it's like, okay, what do you want? You want it or you don't want it? You know what I mean? You keep saying you want it, you're crying about it that you want it. And I'm not trying to criticize anybody. I'm just saying, but you know, there's like a confusion in the body. So we have to have surrender to our body and have and then there's no more resistance. So then what it means is that the natural state of whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen, right? Whatever that may be, but to get caught up in it where we destroy ourselves, it's like we can't keep doing that. You know, what we have to do is it's like repetition with this. We have to get out of that mindset and just continue to remind ourselves how powerful we are, how magical we are, that we are meant to do this. You know what I mean? There's just a little glitch right here, but we're going to get through this. But we can't just say that that's who we are. No, that's not who we are. We're just here right now, temporarily, but we're going to get out of this. So the more that our mindset starts to get stronger within this process of kind of purging all this out of us, you know, then after that, you know, there'll be a rhythm with the generation, you know. and it'll continue on.
Yeah, I think also when we lose the resistance, we have like more control of time. It's like we go into this flow where now, besides the attraction, it's like we're riding the wave as well. So it's not only that we're getting what we want, we're getting it when we want it, and we're even getting it before we need it. So it's like that, like, I don't think people understand the importance of your words. It's like we're saying, like, we are already the creators. That's it. We're already that. So we have to take our power for what it is and stop trying to like Jen was saying, everything is outer for us in this society. And we have to come to the realization of when are we going to take a step back and be like, something is being manipulated here. Because there's no way that everybody lived perfect forever, and all of a sudden these like few years we can say there's all these issues. Like, we have to take a step back because we are allowing other people to be responsible for what's our responsibilities. So I think starting with the words and the way that we speak to ourselves naturally is the first thing that needs to change, right? Because I'm looking at all these like different the list that we go down the list: mental, trauma, is it diet? But I think the main thing is how we perceive ourselves and our perception of ourselves and our lives. And I think once we can create that shift, there is the domino effect in the rest of the life. So I feel like anywhere that any woman out there or anybody that's seeking more, go within literally just means get to know yourself more. And literally you get the answers to everything.
Yeah. And
the main things.
With that, in the present, you have to do it though. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
In the moment, right there.
We have to stay in the moment. We lose the moment every time. We're so desperate to be in our thoughts, to be caught up in suffering and pain and this and that and the past and the future. And we forget to the moment that's right there in front of us, that we have the full control of what we wanted to accept or reject within our thoughts. And we seem to always poison it.
Yeah, and I think it comes from also in our society.
Yeah.
That we are defined by what type of mother you are and whether or not you have a whole bunch of children or, you know, whatever it is. We're still very much in that patriarchal mindset of if you have 8 children, you're so blessed. And if you have none, then there's something wrong with you. And a lot of people do start to define themselves by whether or not they can conceive. And one thing that I used to say all the time is, you know, your worth is not tied to your womb. So whether you have 1 child, no children, 8 children, whatever, it doesn't matter. That does not make you any more or any less of what you are. And that's one place that you have to start too. Understanding that when you're on this journey, whether you have a child or you don't, it doesn't define who you are. And you have to be okay with the outcome, whether it's me having a baby or me not having a baby. And I have to learn as a person who I am outside of this thing that I'm trying to manifest. Because when we get stuck in that cycle, it's like we become tied to this baby. And if I have this baby, then that's going to make me a better, make me more of a woman. That's going to make me more whatever. And it's not that. That's not what's making you more of anything. And I think that if people can get anything from what I'm saying, it's just to understand that whether you have the baby or you don't, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're working through all of these things, because at the end of the day, even if you have the child, but you don't deal with the trauma, you're still going to have those same thoughts. You're still going to be stuck in that pattern. You're still going to have the same feelings. So I think we really just have to address those issues. My 12-year-old sister was started on birth control now to control her cycle. Will this affect her reproductive system later on? To be completely honest, I would say it definitely can. a lot of people, now I have not done a study. There are no scientific studies that I can find. But from the people that I have talked to that have a lot of these issues, a lot of them were placed on birth control at some point.
Yeah.
Although birth control is supposed to regulate your cycles, we're just putting a Band-Aid on the issue.
Yep.
If your cycles are giving you problems, then that means that there's something going on at the root, and we have to deal with that and address it, because taking birth control isn't going to fix it. It didn't work for me.
It didn't work for me. Yeah. That
It
caused a
don't work
lot
for
of
me.
my reproductive issues. I got cysts because of it. A cyst ruptured inside of me because of it. It was a constant changing. Oh no, it's just you need a lower dose hormone one, and the changing of it every second, and it just destroyed me. And I didn't realize it till I got off of it, that I was like, what did this do to my body? And not only what did it do to my body, like what did it do to my mind? Because one thing I will say is, like, I felt like I was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment in my life, like, I felt like I was crazy, and I would have never associated the birth control to be part of that issue, because there was many issues that were surrounding this, but that was part of that. They found a cyst, but they can't do surgery because of her age. That's what they told me. So I had it. I had it, and then when I was about how old? I was probably like about 18. It ruptured inside of me, and they didn't even drain it. They didn't do anything. They just sent me home. And then when I turned 21, I had PCOS. So it was a bunch of cysts now in my ovaries. So many problems I had at that point, and it all stemmed from that. And, you know, we have to understand that even with cysts and different things, if you can catch it at a certain, you know, that's not as aggressive, you can reverse it. Like, there's a lot of things that can be reversed. There's a lot of things that you can definitely do, you know, but the thing is this, is that a lot of people don't want to put in the work. And that's just the truth. Like, it's I'm not going to say it doesn't take work. It takes a whole, you have to change your entire paradigm. You are programmed to a certain way of eating. You have an addiction to a certain things of food. These are like drugs, like addicts. This is equivalent to that. So this is how serious it gets, because it's just like sugar. Sugar is an addiction, like crack. Like, it's literally like that. Cheese is an addiction. Like, it's like crack as well. Like, why do you think people are so addicted to cheese? People are like, yo, I can't stop eating cheese. Like, I get it. Like, you will eat just slices of fucking cheese. Like, it's so good, right? There's something in there, chemical mixture in there, that causes that addiction. And so when we look at ourselves and we say that we have to change ourselves, we have to understand that we have to look at it in that far and say, yo, this is literally like an addict. So that means that my body is used to me having specific reactions to certain feelings. So the minute that I start to think about the how sad it makes me feel, whatever situation, my body says, yep, girl, let's go. Let's rock out. She feels that way. Let's continue this sadness. And it keeps digging at you now. And then you start now adding other thoughts that are going to keep that drug in that body alive. And that body saying, yes, you're giving me more, giving me more, giving me more. And the same thing goes for the opposite. The same thing goes for the opposite. So what I'm saying is that because it is so strong already in your body, within your cells, all these addictions, you have to really, the minute those thoughts come, it's like literally you are training your body. Like the way you work out, you got to train your mind where every second you're saying, I'm not entertaining that thought. I'm not breathing on that thought. I'm not entertaining it. I don't want to see it. You don't belong here. And that's not to say you ignore how you feel. No, you can know how you feel, but understand that that feeling of whatever you feel when it starts manifesting in your actions, that was a thought before. It was just a thought. And what happened is the thought was long before it came out of you on the physical of you reacting to it. It's been sitting there just like kind of creeping its way. So the goal is to get in such awareness that you catch it at the source, to say, okay, I know what you do to me. I know what this thought does to me. I know what this does to my body. I don't like that feeling. It does not go where I want to go. And these are conversations you have to literally have with yourself at times, okay? The same way you obsess with those bad thoughts, and you have to do this with the good ones. You have to really nurture them every second. So you start to shift your subconscious into that belief system, because it can only accept. It doesn't have the ability to reject, or it's going to just accept what you say. That's it.
Right.
So when you learn to take that control, then you rewire it. You rewire your paradigm, your entire mindset, how you process information, how you process pain, how you process suffering, how you process situations in life. This is an experience, and we are not allowing ourselves to feel it in its totality of how we are. Whatever it is, there's really not good or bad. It's just the experience, whatever the way it's going. But we also have the power to shift that in how much we nurture ourselves, our mind, our bodies, our soul. Everything is all connected, and we got to start from the root to the top, and we got to keep going. And we also got to know that this is not going to happen overnight, because this is a long time that this has built up and build up and build up and build up in our generations. It's going to take some time to get out, but you got to be willing to be part of the process of getting it out, and not feeding into, like making it worse and continuing that paradigm that is not our reality. It's what we've been programmed into, but it's not who we are.
Right. We are divine beings. And, when we think about our body as a temple, I think we really understand what that means. You house the same creative power that the creator, or that is out there in the universe. So if you are walking around, and I am a divine being, but I'm feeding myself things that are going to kill me,
Exactly.
why would I do that? Why would I put things into my temple that are going to destroy me, when I'm supposed to be feeding myself with thoughts and actions and just words, and even food that is going to allow me to walk in that divine state of who I am? And I think when we start to shift our mindset to actually believe that we are divine beings and that we deserve to be treated in that way, that it's easier for me now to be like, oh, I'm craving something sweet, I'm going to go make myself a smoothie with some berries.
Right.
What I would think years ago, when I'm like, oh, I'll just go get a cookie. No, I'm not going to put that in my body, because I know what's going to happen if I'm eating those things. And I'm not saying, you can never have a cookie again.
Right.
If you want to do your
The
thing.
balance.
I'm saying there has to be balance. So you have to understand that you should be putting good things in more often than you're putting in those things that are going to actually tear down this divine experience that you're supposed to be having.
Yeah.
I can't have this experience that I was designed to have and be this person that I'm supposed to be if I'm sick, or if I'm not able to function properly or think clearly. Because when we are dealing with all of these issues and we're eating these foods, we're walking around in a fog. You have brain fog. You can't remember anything.
Yeah.
You can't even function getting out of the bed in the morning without feeling awful. You wake up and you're tired. You walk around and you're tired. You go to bed and you're tired. You just don't feel good. So we're not having the experience that we were supposed to have, because we're not really allowing ourselves to be everything that we were created to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think also, like, because you were saying we're creators, and naturally that is just what we do. So I think sometimes we forget, like, there's a cycle going on here, and we're part of it. And we always want to, like, think we're smart, like we want to outsmart the system all the time. And it's like, in nature, there are just laws that just apply whether you know them or not. So I think that one of the best things that we can do to, like, initiate everything is to seek the knowledge. And once we get that, like, awareness, we can then start to change. Because, to be completely honest, nothing is happening until we know that something is wrong. So I think that if the one piece of advice would be to look for the knowledge. And I think that's why it's so important for people to have or look for doulas. Like you mentioned, you were a fertility doula, and I think that's so important because doulas get this weird definition when in reality we're there for advocacy more than anything else. And that's why we're so up on the knowledge. Like, okay, you need to know this, because at the end of the day, you can be a creator, but guess what? If you create no matter what, and if what you are festering inside of you is negative, or what we perceive as negative because it's not what we want or what we need, that's what we're going to manifest. So at the end of the day, it's like we have to know and like align ourselves with that information so that we can have discernment and know, like, hold on, I am creating, but not in the way that I need, that my spirit needs, that my community needs, that my future generations are gonna need. And that's why we're lost in this world, because we're forgetting about the knowledge. Like, we can look anything up. This is a public information. We can look up scientific studies the same way that a doctor can. We can look up clinical trials just like any other doctor can. So I think one of the main things is that, like, search for the information, because once you have it, you can speak to yourself, you create discernment, you're able to tell what information I need, and then the information just comes. It's there for you. And then we're able to change and be able to pivot to where we need, because we're lost.
Right.
Oh,
Dope. So tell everybody also, like, how they can reach you, like what type of consultations do you do, like different services that you offer.
Absolutely. So if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Ultimate Fertility Consultant. And I am a health coach. So I'm a certified health coach as well as a trained fertility doula, certified fertility doula. So if you want to come, I do an assessment where we walk through everything. We're going to look at all of the parts because I do things holistically. I'm a holistic coach. We're looking at your thoughts. We're looking at your mindset. We're looking at what you're eating. We're looking at what you're watching, what you're listening to, all things. And we're going to compile everything holistically to create a plan for you. Even if you decide that you want to do fertility treatments, it doesn't mean that you can't seek help, because I think a lot of them feel like, oh, well, I'm just going to go take the drugs and it's going to work. And it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
You want to make sure that your body is in the best state that it can be in order to conceive. So I make sure that I work with them as well. And I still do births, not as much because I'm focusing more on the fertility side of things, but I do births typically starting from spring until fall. And then, you know, after that, I'm just focusing mainly on fertility throughout the rest of the year. So if you need help trying to conceive, I'm here. If you need some health coaching, because I also work with people that want to improve their cycles, or they're having issues with things like fibroids or endometriosis or PCOS, because there's no blanket answer. There's no one size fits all solution to the problem. We have to look at what your body is doing and create a plan that works for you. So
where are you based out of?
I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Do you do like virtual clients and stuff for different things?
Yes, I work a lot virtually, especially now with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Everybody has been kind of wanting to do more virtual consults. So I've been working with a lot of people that way as well.
That's really, really dope. Well, I really appreciate, you know, the work that you do, because I'm seeing that there is, you know, this little mini revolution happening within us, you know, and, you know, before I got pregnant, I was like stepping into this little birth world. It's like a whole world. I feel like it's like a whole nother world. And after I had my child, you know, and I like searched for it more because you feel so alone at first. And when I started searching and everything started coming, it's like it opened this whole portal in this world that I was like, oh my goodness, like there's so many of us going through the same things or battling these same, you know, issues or whatever. It's like these pile of issues, right, that we all have in common, and we all have this like trauma bonding with them, you know. And it's like, but at the same time, I'm noticing that now I'm seeing so many more birth workers of color. I'm seeing more midwives. You know, I was blessed to have a Black midwife for my babies. And, you know, just seeing our women do what they're supposed to do in their natural state is a really beautiful thing, because it just makes birth a whole different experience. It makes it more sacred. It makes it more personal. It makes it more of a celebration as opposed to an illness. Like, it just really embraces it when we have these powerful energetic forces just together during the time of like this you know, baby coming in from one entire dimension, one world, into another. And we don't want to traumatize it in the process, because there's no need for trauma. That's not what that's supposed to be like.
No.
That transition is not supposed to be like that. Just the way, like, we're not supposed to die traumatic deaths. We're not, you know, something happens to your soul after that. So people need to understand that this is a very deep process of what we go through, and we have to respect it as such, you know. And when we start respecting it to that way, that's also going to shift something else within ourselves. I just want to say one quick thing. I was listening to something, and she said something that was so deep. She said, if there's a forest, right, just completely just there, right, and a tree falls, did the tree make a sound? And she said, no. Sound is a personal thing. So technically, the tree never made a sound. The tree just fell. What the tree did have was a vibration. A vibration happened, but a sound, that's an individual thing. But technically, if nobody's there, it didn't make a sound.
Right.
And
But
when,
it did ripple.
huh?
I said, but it did ripple.
It did ripple, right?
The vibration.
So, you know, I say that to say that there's a, you know, when we're talking about everything we're talking about today, we're trying to tell you that there's a deeper spiritual process within this thing that has a vibration. That as long as you tap into that vibration, the other magnets are going to connect. And that's why we see this revolution happening. We see these birth workers. We see people saying, you know what, actually, I want to get into midwifery. I want to be a doula. I want to do this. I want to do that. Because something is shaking up inside of us. It's literally waking us up, and it's like, wait a minute. This don't sound right. This has gone way too far. I got to step in. And we realized that it wasn't even that hard to step into that field. We just didn't even know of it. We didn't even know the world existed. And then when you learn about it, and you learn about that is your world, that is where you come from, then you feel a certain type of glory and feeling when you're in this birth work. And you're really like, yo, this is what I'm here to do. You find your purpose within that. And that is beautiful to me. Like, we're all just working together, and the vibration is happening. The ripple is happening.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do believe that, it's like you were saying, Jen, sometimes we forget, or not that we forget, we don't know that there's another way. Yeah. We just always were taught that it's one way. And it's like, we're all connected in such a way. Like, Jen was the person that I asked a lot of questions to at the beginning of my awakening. I was like, girl, there's some things that I have like no idea what's happening, but I know they're wrong. Like, how do I go about this? Yeah. And just her genuinely answering my questions in a non-judgmental way, because I was doing probably the opposite of what she was doing. She never said your way is wrong. She's just like, let me give you insight to what this looked like for me and how this was a lot better than the stories that I hear for the other people. So I think that it's another thing that's great is when we have the courage to speak and say our stories and be genuine, because I was just recently speaking to a cousin of mine, and she was going through something really, really horrible. And then people were just telling her, you know, like move on. It could be worse. And she, to me, it was one of the greatest things. She was like, no, I'm going to advocate for my feelings. This is what I'm feeling, and I'm not going to hide them anymore. And I was like, girl, that's the best thing you could ever do, because now you sharing that story is going to shed some light for another woman that's going through the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things, like our auras are all together. Once we share this information, we have a different way. It's like a back door. We open the back door. Come through here. Escape. Escape that world. And by the time we realize it, this is going to be the new normal, the normal again. It's gonna be what God intended in the beginning anyways. It's gonna go back to that, because it's the
cycle.
only way. It's the only way.
Yeah, it is the only way. It's gonna happen, and it's happening, and it's really, really happening. And I feel blessed to be part of this revolution. You know what I mean? Because this is historically, and that's why I think it's so important that we have these chats, we have these videos, we write these books, we do these workshops, we do all these things, because that is also, you know, where we're gonna have some type of trail of historically of what contribution we've made in here, because a lot of times our history is erased. But it's like, we got to write our history. We can't, I don't care what they do. Write your own history, write your version of what you want. I'm writing what I know. I'm writing my history. I think we all have the gifts to write books. We have so many gifts to do so many things, if we just tap into ourselves. And I think that one of them is writing more books and physical books and having these things so that we can have some type of tangible thing in our hands, historically, of this revolution that's happening, that this is normal. Well, you know what I mean? This is the normal way. This is our way. And we're breaking the chains, you know? We're the ones to do it, and nobody's going to tell our stories but ourselves.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know? But
yeah, we tell our stories, because if we don't tell them and they sit with us, then what's the next generation going to have as motivation to continue or to carry that torch? So we have to speak out, and we have to tell our stories.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on with us. I really, really appreciate it. Really, really dope chat. I love having deep chats like this.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Well, I'll see
Meeting
you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be saving this, and join us next week. I forgot what we're doing next week, but I'll put it in the page. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.